Hello there, everybody. I am Orucs-Oraihc, the coach of the Wodonga Why Nots. We're back here with another team builder, this one for week 5. You might be asking, what happened week 4? I had a bye. It's that simple. Uh, anyways, moving on. Uh, this team builder is going to be a little bit different from the ones we've had before. I figured I'd kind of change things up, show kind of how I go about the process of building the team, because so far I've only really shown the actual team at the end of the process. So I figured, if it's going to be a team builder video, I might as well actually build a team in it. So that's how we're going to go through this. So let's start things off. Gonna open up Pokemon Showdown, and I'm also gonna open up the program Notepad++, which, by the way, I would highly recommend. I'm not sponsored by Notepad++. If Notepad++ would like to sponsor me, I have no idea how they'd find me because my channel is minuscule. But in any case, it's a great program for taking notes, doing all sorts of things. Ah, yes, forgot about this tab. But what I generally do in Notepad++ is I have the speed stats of all of my Pokemon down here, and then I put the speed stats of all of my opponent's Pokemon up here. So I've got that already done right now, and I'm just going to, at this point, start plugging in the Pokemon that my opponent has for this week. So our week 5 opponent is going to be Not Skywalker. Lots of great stuff. Let's start with Ponyta. Kanto Ponyta is going to be what we're up against this week. Runaway isn't a great ability. It's probably going to be Flame Body if I had to guess. I don't see Flash Fire being a thing because I don't have a fire type. Outside of no, I just don't. I just straight up don't have a fire type because Fletchling is not a fire type. Fun fact. So I'm expecting Flame Body here. What items could it have? We're going to think about that later. This thing, let's put it max speed Jolly because I know it's a physical attacker. It's got a lot of good physical moves. It's got a Gen 1 move pool, that works. Body Slam is a good move. Flame Charge, I could see probably more likely to be Flare Blitz. What coverage does it get? It's a Hans. Naturally, it gets high Hans power. Uh, could run Low Kick, don't think so. Play Rough is an interesting one. Let's see, what else does it get? Could be Wild Charge. So this is 4 really good attacks for Ponyta to have. Something that I've got to look out for. And as we've seen, it's really fast. I'm still not entirely certain what item it might want to hold, but it's fast and it hits hard. It looks like 137 attack stat, 156 speed. So that's the first number to keep in mind, this 156 speed. That's going to be our first big speed number to look at. And I've forgotten to take the notepad down. So we see 156 is the first number I'm looking at. That's its max speed stat. Let's just put the last 4 in HP because why not? This is something that I'm going to have to think about. It could be choice band with any of these moves or all of these moves. I could see it. I don't think it's allowed to hold the Eviolite, but if it is, it probably has a decent shot not to hold it, just because it's so offensive and Eviolite is purely defensive item. I could see Expert Belt. I don't think Sash is going to come into play. This thing has decent bulk overall. 50, 55, 65 is not Sash worthy in Little Cup, I think. It always could be Sash, though. So something to keep in mind. What else might it be? It could be Expert Belt or Life Orb. Life Orb actually seems pretty likely because it's very strong. It's a strong attacker. It can run Protect over any of these moves, and Life Orb just makes it do a lot of damage. So I'm gonna say that's probably the first thing I'm going to say is most likely for my opponent's S tier. Next up, It's Gastly. Yes. Double checking. Gastly is indeed the next Pokemon that we have to look at. I mean, it only gets Levitate. That's its only ability. So it's just a question of what item it wants. And it is looking like something like Specs or Life Orb is very good on this. Maybe Expert Belt. What moves does it get, first and foremost? This thing gets Dazzling Gleam? Okay, that's a new one for me. We're gonna probably have Shadow Ball, if I had to guess. Uh, let's make this thing timid. But yeah, Shadow Ball, Gleam are good moves. Psychic, it's probably going to be running. It can run Giga Drain. That's 4 good moves for it. I could see Choice Specs. I could see that for certain. So that's something to keep in mind. It could also run Focus Sash. I could see that. Focus Sash actually I think is relatively likely, just because of its bulk. I mean, look at it. It's 30, 30, 35, and it doesn't want to be running much bulk. So I don't see the reason not to run Sash on this thing. Uh, it is very strong and hits quite hard, but at the same time, it's going to have difficulties surviving if it's not sashed. So because of this, and because I need to kind of have something for it, definitely Sneasel is going to be running Beat Up or Triple Axle. At least one of the two, if not both. Now we're moving on to our third mon that we have to look at, and it's Fungus. I knew there was something on this team that I was worried about, legitimately. So Fungus is A2. Could be Effect Spore, could be Regenerator. I think it's going to be Regenerator because that's what it runs in VGC, or at least what Amoonguss runs. And Amoonguss is good. This thing is such low speed. It's base 15. Why does it have to be base 15? It's going to be running some sort of a berry, I think. Could be citrus, could be agave, could be really anything. And could also be running the sash. I'm not as sold on it being a sash holder though, just for various reasons. Definitely going to be running Spore, could run Clear Smog. Something like, probably going to be something like Spore, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, and Protect. I mean, that's kind of a standard Amoonguss set, and just give it to Fungus, and it's probably going to be running a very similar set. It could also be running a Resist Berry for Ice. Honestly, I'm not convinced it won't run Yachi Berry. And the possibility of that is just one more reason to run Triple Axle. This thing is going to be... it might mess me up. Just straight up mess me up. Mess up my team. Probably be going to be running... Well, it's not going to be running that. It's going to be running 244, probably, unless it's going to be expecting grassy terrain. But if it's expecting like any possibility of me maxing Sneasel, which I mean that's a pretty big possibility. Let's be real. I haven't maxed Sneasel yet, but I always can because it's so strong. So we've got our Fungus Yachi Berry regen. It's probably going to be running relatively physically defensive. I'm going to run a calc real quick. I don't have a scene to show that, but Fungus and Sneasel. With the set that I've been running is Never Melt Ice. Oh. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to survive. Even if I give it like max defense impish or max defense sassy or something. Or not sassy, but relaxed. Yeah, even max defense relaxed with Yachi Berry, it's not surviving a triple axle from Never Melt Ice. It's not even surviving a triple axle from non-Never Melt Ice. So, yeah, it might be EV'd for something else, though. Something to keep in mind. Let's try Fletchling. Which I've also used offensively. It gets Swords Dance, it gets Prio. Let's see Dual Wing Beat. Dual Wing Beat needs to do, I think it is 133. To Oko through Koba. And yeah, it doesn't even come close to that, unless I'm banded. And even then, like, let's just see choice band. Yeah, even with a choice band, and with max attack adamant, I'm not even KOing max fungus, without a berry to resist it. So that's pretty much off the table. It is a 2-hit KO with dual wing beat though. And the other thing I could do is I could run something like, does Fletchling get Hurricane? I don't think it does, but I'm going to check Cerebi. Gets Fly, Aerial Ace. I don't think it gets a single flying type special move. Yeah, it doesn't. So, okay. Yeah. I think that Fungus is going to have a rough time with Sneasel regardless. So, not quite certain what it's going to be doing then, in terms of defensive. Like, I'd err on the side of physically defensive just to survive more hits from Sneasel. But if I go for triple axle or even icicle crash, like let's look at this. Like Ice Shard versus Max is still a 2-hit KO most of the time. If it's just max HP, then I'm doing 70%, or 75 even, 70 to 80-ish. So, or even more actually, uh, 75 to 92. Yikes. Yeah. So Fungus is almost certainly going to be running physically defensive, in terms of its set, just because it needs to survive any of my hits with from Sneasel. The thing is, though, Fungus can really wreak havoc on my team if I don't have Sneasel. So I need to make sure that I have something safe against Ponyta Fungus lead. Because if Fungus goes for Rage Powder, then I have to have something. If Fungus goes for Protect, I have to have something. And if it goes for Spore, then I'm going to be killing it anyways with triple axle, hopefully. So on to the next thing on the list. Omanite. So let's take a look at this. This is a Shell Smasher. And it's got great special attack. So something like this is possible. But it's only base 35 speed. At +2, that hits 174. So new stat to look for, 174 speed. I'm putting that on my thing next to the 156. 174 is something else to think of. Ancient Power, Hydro Pump, something like Ice Beam for coverage, maybe Protect. And this could be whiter because it's Shell Smash. Could also run Earth Power, so that's something to keep in mind. Ice Beam, Earth Power are the two coverage moves I might expect. Yeah. It could also be Meteor Beam instead of Ancient Power. And be, what's it called? The Power Herb. But I'm not expecting that, really, because Shell Smash, you really need to shore up the defenses. So, yeah, that's that. That's got to be something I keep an eye on. Next up, Magnemite. Why did they let this thing in Little Cup? Magnemite, as the meme goes, is just Magneton. Sturdy, almost certainly 45 is kind of in the middle of my speed tiers. Ties with Bulbasaur. Slower than Fletchling, faster than Cufant. So, yeah. Could be running max speed, could be running no speed. I could see either one. I'm gonna say let's put it at max speed timid because that's what I'm expecting. Something like Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, +2. This thing doesn't get coverage, so does it even get Protect? It does get Protect at least. It can also run dual screens, but I don't think it would run dual screens. I don't know. It's unclear. In any case, the thing is powerful. Like, look at that. His 147 stat with neutral. That's got plenty of power to it, but it's got no coverage is the thing. So, something like Iron Defense, you could run one of the two screens or both. Honestly, this thing can run specs. It really can. Just to output more damage. I don't know. It's got a lot of options. Iron Defense with leftovers, I think, is one of them. I don't think it gets Amnesia. It does not. Okay. Well, third B type, or B tier. Swirlix. Oh boy. Unburdened Belly Drum this time. It doesn't get Belly Drum. Okay, Swirlix does not get Belly Drum. So we've got that going for us at least. This is, I think, a physical attacker. No, it's a special attacker. Why did I think it was physical? Anyways, this one, like, I'm not expecting to outspeed this, but I'm going to add 202 to my speeds thing just because at unburdened speeds, this thing is going to be fast, and I've got to keep that in mind. So that's kind of my 3 TOs so far: 156, 174, 202. Honestly, I don't know what item it could be running. Probably going to be some sort of a berry citrus, maybe. It could honestly be anything, though. Misty Seed. If it wants to set up its own terrain and then go Noom. But, like, player off, what does it even get? Facade. Thief, I guess? It has no moves. Like, you've heard of 4 move slot syndrome. This thing has no move slot syndrome. Could yawn, could protect, I guess, but... So, yeah, this... It's something to keep an eye on because of its speed. Oh, I forgot, this thing is special. What am I doing? Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, Flamethrower even. Psychic, Surf, wow. Thunderbolt. Yeah, this thing just gets fairy type coverage, which is to say that like all of the fairy types get like Thunderbolt, Psychic, Energy Ball. I don't know. This thing is weird. I'm not certain what to think of Swirlix. I don't think it's a threat just because its damage output shouldn't be too great, but something to keep in mind again. So this is going to be Woobat now. Woobat, simple, lovely. Does it get agility? It doesn't, but it does get ally switch. Something to note, but not something to really think too hard of. Simple, it's special normally, right? Yeah, it's special. This could also be Sash. It could be. And this thing could be like EVLA even. So I don't know. I think the classic set is like weakness policy though. With like a weak move like Fling Landsat. Does this get Fling? I'm going to have to check this team now for Fling because I remember that strategy about Swoobat. So, time to check the entire team for what gets Fling. Okay. What do you get that gets Fling? What is on your team that gets Fling? Let's check. Ponyta does not get Fling, I think, looking through this. Gastly doesn't. Magnemite doesn't. I'm not seeing it on the rest of the team for the most part. Maybe Krogunk gets it. Krogunk gets Fling. Okay, okay. Krogunk gets Fling. Okay. And that is the next Pokemon that we have to think of. So... Fling, it's probably going to be Salac. That's what it normally is. When you got Fling with Swoobat or Woobat. The thing to note is, what damage does that do from Krogunk? let's see, fling item is going to be the berry, Salak. I'm running a calc here. Versus Woobat. If it's no attack Krogunk, then it should be doing like very little damage, which is kind of what I feared. I don't like that very much. If it is max attack, it's going to be doing some damage still, but also really not quite enough for what I like. Like, max attack Krogunk is doing no damage to Woobat, so that's unfortunate to say the least. The good news, though, is that it would have to be an incredibly fast Krogunk to do that. So, something to keep in mind, but again, nothing too crazy. Does this thing get stored power? It does. I know that because of what it usually gets up to. Stored power, something like Heat Wave, or coverage, Air Slash, I guess, and then like Protect, Baton Pass, one of the two. This thing is a threat because of its ability. And I'm not going to be outspeeding it at +2 unless I have like Tailwind for my thing. It's probably going to be modest because it can afford to be modest. Although if it is modest, my Helioptile will outspeed. So, yeah, it has to be timid, I guess. It has no choice but to be timid, and at most one less than max speed. This is all that it can afford because of my yeah, because of my Helioptile being base 70 speed. There's nothing else that my opponent can do but run timid. So that's the C1 onto the C2. We've talked about fling. I don't know, this thing gets good coverage moves. It could be physical or special as well. It gets the same stats. So we're going to say special so it does less damage to Woobat. It's got to be max speed, really, realistically. Can't afford much else because of Bulbasaur being so close to its speed. Although, I don't know. Dry Skin I'm expecting. Could be Anticipation, could be Poison Touch. Really, any of the three are possible. Probably going to have coverage for both sides. Although, is it really going to be Focus Blast? Huh. Maybe it's not going to be special, because its only special fighting move is Focus Blast, or as we like to call it, Focus Miss. Jolly naturally. Brick Break is a fine move. It doesn't get close combat, unfortunately. If my opponent's really crazy, then we could see some random stuff that we don't like. Sucker Punch. Glad I came across that because now I know that this thing gets Sucker Punch. Huh. Yeah, that's a potential problem. 3 more. Chincho. Is it going to be Volt Absorb or Water Absorb? It's going to be Volt Absorb, I think. And it's going to be, I don't know, the most likely item to me feels like, because Chinchou is a defensive Pokemon, right? More than attacking. Even its defenses are not great, but yeah, I would say it probably is. This could be the Eviolite holder as well. And I think it's probably more likely than Magnemite. Uh, but this thing is actually faster than I'd thought, than I'd remembered. Base 67 hits 119, which is a stat that I had to remember recently. Timid hits 130, so. Is there anything close to that speed tier on my opponent's team other than that? No, just the Woobat. So I guess, like, I suppose I'll put the Woobat stat at 136 as another speed tier to think of. Chinchou C3. I don't know. This thing could run any 4 moves. Protect, Scald, Discharge or Thunderbolt, and Gleam, I guess, for coverage. Gleam is always good coverage on any mon, I think, in my personal opinion. I don't know. Sometimes the Pokemon just doesn't feel strong, even though it can be. Like, this thing is bulky enough that with Eviolite, I think it could be a threat, but I don't really expect it to be a threat because I have my own threat in the form of Venusaur, or Bulbasaur rather. Dwebble. Final C tier. Sturdy, it's going to be the other potential Shell Smasher. But this one would be the physical Shell Smasher. So let's take a look at that. It gets knockoff in this gen, which is something I didn't know. Rock Slide or Stone Edge. X Scissor for second stab. Yeah. Adamant Nature. 107 times 2 is 214, which is going to be the new top speed tier that I have to outspeed with something. This thing is a threat, I think. Either of the Shell Smashers can be threats if not prepared for. Snom, on the other hand, I don't think is going to be a threat. It doesn't get moves. Ice Scales, naturally. It gets more moves than I thought it got. If it's coming, it's going to be Icy Wind, Protect. I don't know, some other thing. Maybe it's going to be Sash, Mirror Coat. Could just run Skitter Smack, though. Honestly, no idea. Bug Buzz and Fairy Wind will give it. Or even just give it Struggle Bug for more spread moves. Struggle Bug is not a bad move. And Snom is slow, which is sad. Quiet. And this thing also didn't ever get a nature. We're going to give it Does bold 0 speed still underspeed my things? It does. So it's going to be bold or something. Ah. Yeah, that's not good. Just generally speaking. Yeah. Something like this is a possibility if it wants to run that. But maybe it's not running Icy Wind then. Maybe it's running something else. But it doesn't really get any other good moves. So Icy Wind probably still. Just regardless. And naturally that's the mascot. So let's take a look at the team overall. Yeah, there's a couple threats here that I have to think of when I'm building myself. Just as an overall thing. That's completely irrelevant for me now. So now that we've taken a look at our Week 5 opponent, it is time for our own Week 5 team. Let us do that. This is going to be VGC 21, naturally. We're going to start out with Sneasel because Sneasel is too good to leave on the bench almost any week, I think. Naturally, Inner Focus Fake Out. I don't think we need Inner Focus this week, actually. So I might run Pickpocket. I have a couple of patches to use. I could also run Keen Eye, but I don't think there's any accuracy lowering or evasion boosting for my opponent for any of their mons. Outside of like Double Team, which would be not the greatest idea. So that kind of a thing. Let's take a good hard think about what we want outside of Fake Out. Other than Fake Out, what's good coverage against this team? Or what's better coverage, rather? Ice, Dark, or something else entirely. Because it could be something else entirely this week. Ice is good against 1, 2, maybe 3. I don't think that's actually a third. So Ice is super effective against 2 of them, but I do need, at the very least, triple Axle for Fungus. So that's first thing we're going to put on here, other than Fake Out, is we need triple Axle. Is Sneasel good against anything else on the team with any of its moves? Dark type, decent, but also still going to Oko Gastly with triple Axle. Dark type, other than that, is only really good against Swoobat or Woobat, but Woobat is already covered, so I don't think Sneasel offensively is going to be that great this week. That being said, Sneasel is not purely an offensive mod. Let's first take a look at our speed tiers. We're naturally going to be Jolly this week because the highest speed tier that we can hit with this thing is going to be that 174, so we want 175 to be our speed stat. Or 176 if we can't get that. Absolutely fine. With a plus speed nature, you can never get 175. So we're going to have probably 2 support moves here. We could also have Swords Dance as a move. We're going to figure that out later. In terms of our item, we don't need Never Melt Ice to Oko the threat. So we could run Sash. We could run something like Heat Rock if we're running Sunny Day. I feel like Sunny Day is a really solid option. I've been wanting to use Bulbasaur in a specific way. Uh, and naturally, we're going to need to be max attack. Are we going to be needing to be max attack? I'm going to run that calc again versus Fungus. Max, relaxed, Sneasel. My custom set, not Never Melt Ice. Yachi Berry is going to reduce this damage, but it's saying 116 minimum. With max attack, how much do I need through Yachi Berry? It's going to be a 10 base power reduction. What I generally do for that, I just put Ice Shard to 110 to run my calc. So now we can see with Yachi Berry, we need 164 to guarantee an Oko in terms of attack. And then we can put the rest in HP, we can put the rest in defenses. I think we want to run a defensive calc. It's not going to be adamant. Wait. I may be running my calc bad. Yeah. So, through Yachi Berry, I do still need max attack to give me the best chance to Oko. Mineral still doesn't even at max attack, but so that's unfortunate. I'm going to run a calc versus Ponyta. Let's start with no item, and we're going to have Flare Blitz. It's going to be level 50. I'm going to want to run an Aka Berry here for certain. Let's see the Aka Berry. Yeah, it's still doing a lot. What's my HP? I can invest 60. Okay. What if I were to invest that 60 instead in defense? That would give me a better shot of surviving. Okay. Okay, so I think I've got my set then. We're going to be running 60 extra EVs in defense and not HP. And we're going to be running Aka Berry. Lovely. And now we only get Oko'd by 3 of the Ponyta's rolls. Also, not very effective. Triple Axle is still doing literally 50% to Ponyta, by the way. In case anyone was wondering. So we're going to figure out our last 2 moves later. Let's look at Bulbasaur versus this entire team. I'm looking at the sets now. It's got a not great matchup into Ponyta. Yeah, the fire type of Ponyta is not going to be great for it, but this could possibly be Aka Berry instead. What speed stat do I need to hit with this thing? At +2 specifically. Well, we're looking at 156, 174, 214. 156, 174, 214. If I am plus speed, I can hit 106 stat, which gets me to 212. Unfortunate. Because 214 will then guaranteed outspeed me no matter what. And in fact, it's most likely, I think. And that set was from what, +2 neutral Rubat? Or +2 Swirlix, maybe? No. I think it was +2 neutral Rubat. That's a yikes from me, bro. So there's no reason to go that fast. I think the next thing we had was 174. And 174 we can hit pretty easy. Yep, 176 right there. And that's going to be the same speed stat as Sneasel, so I'm going to actually... but that would require Bulbasaur to be in Sun. Naturally, we're going to be running Sunny Day here. That's just a given. So the fun thing is, after we activate the Akka Berry with Sneasel, after Sneasel activates the Akka Berry, I think it then steals the item from Ponyta, if it's Pickpocket. So that's going to be a good thing. Naturally, we're going to be Chlorophyll. What item could we be? We're going to think about that. Something I was thinking about this week is there's a lot of good physical moves for Bulbasaur. Notably, it gets Grassy Glide. So it also gets Power Whip. As opposed to Leaf Storm, it's just inaccurate, which I think I'm willing to deal with. And Solar Beam is not as great because it's not as consistent. So I was thinking about using that this week. Physical. And the reason Physical is good is because if I'm running Physical, I can run Swords Dance. There's the move. And then we can run something like Body Slam, Power Whip, Grassy Glide. It doesn't actually get any coverage, but that's just going to be the way that it is. What else does this leave me weak to? If anything, I'm not seeing too much. Maybe the Magnemite, if I'm only hitting with these. Maybe Krogunk, if it's particularly bulky. Fungus actually might be an issue because I can't hit it with a Max Flare in the Sun from Weather Ball. And naturally, Ponyta is still an issue. We'll come up with the item for Bulbasaur later. For now, it's time to think of what else we can use here to deal with some threats. So, also, did I ever get Gibble in the team builder for my opponent's team? Because I have Gibble here on the notes sheet, but I didn't see it looking... It was the last thing, and I just completely overlooked it. Okay. So that's something else to think about now, because I've forgotten an entire Pokemon on my opponent's team. No. Wait, what? Where the heck did I get Dwebble from? Dwebble's not this person. Dwebble's an entirely different opponent. Okay. So that's what I did wrong. So there's no second Shell Smasher to worry about. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Where the heck did I get Dwebble from? Rough Skin, potentially. This could be the Eviolite holder. I don't think Sandvale is likely because there's not much sand on their opponent's team. So naturally, it's going to be running some sort of a set. I don't know what. Maybe Choice Band, I don't know. Dragon Claw, Double Edge, I don't know. I'm just putting in random moves at this point. Earthquake, Rock Slide. I don't know. This looks like a good enough set. Speed hits 94 at neutral. At plus speed, that is going to be 103. And so that's that. Yeah. Okay. That's that Pokemon. And it's going to be max attack plus that. Okay. Yeah, now I've got that actually in the team builder correctly. I'm very glad I noticed that before I went on with the building because now I don't have to worry about Drubble as much. And I was worrying about Drubble. That's the wrong team. We're looking at this one. Okay. Now, what do we get to deal with Magnemite, Ponyta? I think that's the big two that I still have to worry about. Krogunk is a bit less of a threat. But that's the big two that I'm still concerned about. I have ways to deal with Fungus, so I could go with Helioptile, which gets Mudshot, I think. And naturally, Solar Power is good for it. We're going to see Scarf. And what's the speed stat that we're going to be able to hit? It's going to be the 170 number. It's going to be actually 175 because Choice Scarf. Will we be able to hit 214? I don't think so. Yeah, 134 now. 134 at +1 or with a Choice Scarf does not quite hit that. It's 200 exactly. So we're going to be modest. Or maybe we're going to be physical. No, we're going to be modest. You do get Mud Shot, right? I'm just double checking. You get Mud Slap. Eesh. You do get Dig, though. Huh. Not banned. Not banned. When did I put in banned? It's Scarf. So I'm looking through my opponent's team again, and I don't see a Trick Room setter, which is good news for me. There's not many Trick Room setters in Little Cup, and I have taken 2 of them, naturally. So that's going to limit my opponent's options even more. But now we've got to decide on the moves because this thing still isn't great against Ponyta, etc. Does it get Ancient Power? No. Glare might be something to think about. Scarf Glare, that seems pretty powerful to me. Honestly, I think it's probably better for me, though, to just go with Parabolic Charge. E-Web is very good into this team because it likes a lot of speed control. So being able to E-Web is good. I might even run... There's a lot of water types on this team. I might want to run Dry Skin. But no, Bulbasaur takes care of all of those. In fact, one of them's 4 times weak to grass. So, let's see. Parabolic Charge, Electro Web, Thunderbolt. It's not going to be Thunder because I don't want to do that in the sun. And some normal type move. Does it get Hyper Voice? It doesn't. Or at least it doesn't look like it. What's Mudslap's power when I max? Mudslap's power when I max is 90. That's not great, but it is something. I'm just going to triple check that I don't get some sort of another ground move that's special. Yeah, I do not. Unfortunate. I think Dark Pulse is probably the way to go for coverage. I don't think I need a second stab against this team that has. I'm seeing 1-2 resists to electric, and one of them also resists normal. Unless they were running Volt Absorb Chincha, which would be a third resist, and Gibble. Regardless, all four of those are hit for neutral with Dark Pulse. So I'm hitting the entire team for neutral with just the two typings that I've got. Now time to figure out how to get 174, 175 over 3. Or 174 over 3 times 2 is 116. So I want to hit 117 in terms of my speed here. And I can do just that right there. That's going to be that. And now I can put the rest into my physical defense, because this thing has no bulk whatsoever. And also, this thing always wants to be running 0 HP, essentially, because 119 is 1 less than a multiple of 8. And when it's in the sun, it's losing an eighth of its health, so that just makes it lose 1 less HP per turn than if I had 1 more point of HP. Fun fact. So that's going to be my fast core here. Those 3 Mons. Sobble isn't looking great into this team outside of Ponyta. So I'm not really thinking about bringing that. Like, it's not even a consideration, really. I'm actually going to calc for Bulbasaur versus Ponyta. Body Slam, because that's the move I gave it. If I max Strike does up to 70%. Not great. And Flare Blitz in the sun is going. Flare Blitz is going to KO outside of the sun into Dynamax Bulbasaur, which is a problem. It's a problem. So now it's time to calc Helioptile. With Parabolic Charge in doubles. Max Special Attack in the sun. Solar Power. In the sun. Not doing enough. Let's try Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is also not doing enough. Wow. Wow. Okay. So that's a problem. I think the way I deal with Ponyta is that I have to get something else involved. Like, if I can get Sobble. Actually, how much is Sobble going to do to this thing? First of all, Sobble is going to take a ton from it, but let's say it's not even in Torrent. And it isn't holding an item, and it's using Water Pledge, which is, I think, its strongest move. And its max special attack, naturally. Then it OHKOs. Okay. So Sobble can put pressure on it. Which means I do need Sobble. The problem is that Sobble can't have speed control against it. Which means I'm going to put Icy Wind on my Sneasel. There we go. There's our fourth move for Sneasel. Water Pledge. We could also go with Muddy Water. Does Muddy Water KO in doubles? I don't think it will, but it's going to be... It's a roll. Okay. Let's see. This one was the 154, right? Or 156? Yeah. Let's see. At -1, that's 104. So I'm going to be running 116 in that case. In terms of speed, max special attack, 116 speed, we're going to be modest. 105. Actually, let's outspeed 107 because we did note that number earlier. So we're going to go with 140. And actually, we're going to go modest. And in that case, Muddy Water is actually like 80% to KO. So I think we run both. Water Pledge and Muddy Water. And then Weather Ball Sobble is always fun. I think it's just great. Actually, let's run Life Orb Sobble. And then we just guarantee KOs everywhere. Actually, I think Expert Belt is going to be the way to go here. Expert Belt. Weather Ball in the rain is going to be dealing massive damage. Weather Ball in the sun, not going to be doing as much. Weather Ball in sand would be interesting tech. But we don't have sand on the team, so. Our final move, we don't have any ice type coverage. We do have Mudshot though, and Mudshot is always good for Sobble, in my personal opinion. So we are hitting 108. We can put... Well, let's take stock. Multiples of 12 is 132. 131 is one less, or multiples of 16 is 128, rather. Why am I thinking about multiples of 12? That's completely ludicrous. 127 is good for life, not Life Orb. 129 is good for Life Orb if I want to go there. 127 is good for Hail, but it's bad for grassy terrain. I think I want to go 129 and actually be Life Orb. Because this thing isn't exactly the most HP anyways. And then do we want physically defensive? It feels good, but especially offensive seems better against Chincho specifically. Uh, because Chincho is the threat. It's also good against Omanite to have that special defense. Uh, Krogunk is really the only thing that is worrisome, but we've got Mudshot for that. Actually, how much does Mudshot do in max to Ponyta? Also in max. To Ponyshot, Mudshot in max Okos, but does not Oko if the Ponyta is in max. Okay. Okay, that's something to note. Let's look at Fungus again versus this Sobble. Fungus does really well against Sobble. I'm not gonna lie. It's not looking great for our big boy Sobble here. Uh, so Fungus is the issue in terms of Sobble. And that's the other reason E-Web is so good on Helioptile. We can, if Sun is up, it does a lot of damage. If it's not up, it's still Choice Scarf Electroweb, which is going to be doing good spread damage. It's going to be reducing the speeds. It's going to be good for that. So yeah, I think I've got the Sobble set down. And then what do we have left? Trick Room. We need Trick Room against this team because if it does manage to get speed control, it's hard to hit. I don't think any of my other mons can actually hit speed control against it. And so the question is, do I have both my setters or do I only bring one? And if I only bring one, what else do I bring? I think the answer to that last part has to be Golett because Golett is actually really spicy this week. And let's give our Golett. I think we have to get Golett and Solosis here. I'm going to be completely honest. It has to be Overcoat and it has to be Goggles. And the reason for that is because otherwise Fungus wrecks me. That's literally the entire reason. Ice Punch naturally. We've got to run like a bunch of punches, right? How good is Fire Punch against this team? It hits one. Hits one. Maybe two if Krogunk is dry skin. Shadow Punch is pretty much a must for the stab. Although we could always go with Poltergeist. I don't think Poltergeist is going to be quite as good. Just because it can miss. I don't like that. And Shadow Punch literally cannot miss. My opponent doesn't actually have a normal type, which is good. It's very good for me. How good is Thunder Punch? Thunder Punch doesn't seem good. What other punches are there? I know there's... We've already gotten Fire Punch. Drain Punch, naturally. We need to run Drain Punch. And then Earthquake. This is the set, or this is approximately the last Golett set I ran, rather. But it's a very good set, to be completely honest. So we're going to go Min Speed. It's going to be Brave. Max Attack. Yep. And then I think Max HP. Just keep it simple, stupid. Force Pedef because Chincho. Actually, I'm going to run a calc really quickly. The reason I run these calcs, if you didn't know, is because normally I like to invest in HP, but if I'm more worried about a specific threat, for example, Chincho, which is actually kind of crazy how much of a threat it is. And let's look at Golett. Earthquake is doing a lot, actually, which is a good thing to note. Earthquake is KOing if it's not resist berry, essentially. Yeah, Earthquake just straight up KOs if this thing isn't running a resist berry. And even if it is running a resist berry, it's actually a roll, I think. Let me double check that. Ground resist berry is Shuka. Yeah, it's still a roll to KO, but that's single target, so yeah, it's still doing a ton of damage. Although Shadow Punch is doing almost as much. Interesting to note. So yeah, defensive calc that we need is Chincho. What was the move that I had on it? What move does Chincho have? Scald, yeah. So Chincho Scald, if I'm running just max defense, is a 2-hit KO, or max HP rather, and like 4 defense. Can I make that move by changing the special defense? If I'm saying max special defense instead, can I significantly change things? And that is still a roll to KO, but if I go all the way to max and 4, then it's actually fairly decent in my favor. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this to 4 HP and max special defense. And then I'm going to lose to what? What do I lose to now? I think I'm actually much better against the team as a whole, which is a good thing. Okay. So we've got that now. Yeah, this team is actually fairly specially offensive. Finally, very simple. Overcoat Solosis is the reason why we're using Solosis over Spritzy this week. Overcoat is so good versus the freaking Tonpignon. I've already forgotten Fungus's English name, I say, using its English name. Life Orb is normally what I put on Solosis, but Sobble is holding Life Orb this week, so it can do damage, or a lot of damage rather. So, I think I'm going to be running, I have to run Mental Herb, right? Because I'm pretty sure that the Krogunk gets Taunt. And I'm going to check that. Krogunk, do you get Taunt? You do by level up. Wow. Well, that settles that issue. So we're definitely running Mental Herb on this thing. And let's run a defensive calc with Solosis versus Gastly. Gastly Shadow Ball does one hit KO. Okay. And in fact, it one hit KOs no matter what my spread is. So, less worried. Just need to know how to play around that instead of the other things. Naturally, we're going to be running Trick Room. Do we run Calm Mind this week? Calm Mind seems very good. I think Trick Room, Calm Mind, Recover Stored Power is good. Like, it feels strong, you know? Feels like a strong way to go about things. Quiet nature naturally. Yeah. Trick Room, Recover, Calm Mind, Stored Power seems good. Like, is there a Dark type on my opponent's team? I don't think Krogunk is Dark type. I think it's Poison Fighting. And that leaves them without a Dark type. And in fact, I don't think they even have a Psychic Resist. Unfortunate for them. Magnemite is their only thing. What do I have for Magnemite, by the way? Is it my Eviolite or my... It's my Life Orb Sobble. It's like 99% sure it's my Life Orb Sobble. Anyways, Bulbasaur, you're getting the Eviolite this week because I couldn't think of anything else for you. So there's that. Give you that. Give you 128, 12, 12, 4 in that order because special defense is more important this week. Special defense is more important this week, but not for Sneasel because Sneasel needs to survive the S tier. So yeah, that's kind of been taking you through the entire team building process for me from start to finish. The last thing I need to do is figure out how to rearrange these mobs in the team preview so that I can give the least of my strategies away. So that's what we're going to do now. Figure that out. And naturally I want Helioptile to be away from Bulbasaur because they're both Sunmons. I want Sobble to be actually close to Bulbasaur. And in fact, I think I want both of them to be at the top. Because I've used Bulbasaur Sobble before in Pledge Pledge, and it's done well. So this could throw them off, make them think it's Pledge Pledge. Golett and Solosis I don't want together either. So let's move that there. Move you up here. And yes, Sneasel can kind of go anywhere this week because it's support for the most part. It's support and it gets one move that it's going to be using against the mushroom. So yeah, longer team builder than usual because I've been going through the entire process. But I hope you've enjoyed watching it nonetheless. And let's see how we can do this week with the team. Our undefeated record is on the line, as it has been every week so far. So let's just see how that goes. And I will see all of you in the battle video this week. Until then, this is Orucs-Oraihc of the Wodonga Wynox, and I will see you in the battle video. Bye!